On tonight, we've got some special matches on again, and that's why Mark Haskins is back with us. Mark, thank you very much for coming back.
Kendall, thanks. Good to be here.
What can we look forward to tonight, Mark?
Well, there's some good games. Obviously, Brazil and Mexico kick off round 2 in Group A. But to round off all the group games in Group H, we have Belgium and Algeria, and also Russia versus Korea.
All right, now it sounds like we're going to have crackers tonight. Okay, let's start with the big one. Let's look at the Brazil-Mexico match, and let's look at Brazil's formation, see how they're going to spread themselves out over the field in attack against. Well, let's look at the formation first before we get into that detail, no?
Yeah, I think Brazil, obviously, with the success of their opening game, I don't think they'll change too much. I think they did well, especially the defense. Marcelo, David Luiz, Thiago Silva, Dani Alves. I don't think he'll tamper too much with his defense. Julio Cesar did well enough, and I think he'll retain his place. And up front, going forward, obviously Fred, Oscar, Neymar, they did really well. The only one that I think maybe he may look to change is Hulk. He does trust Hulk a lot, so he might go with him again. But there are the likes of Willian and Bernard, who we saw come on as well, who we might want to change there. I think Oscar did really well. He put in a man-of-match performance, so I think he'll definitely be a part of the team. And then between Luis Gustavo and Paulinho, there's the likes of Ramirez might be given a chance there because he's really good going forward as well. But I think he won't tamper too much with the lineup. I think they'll set up and play the way they did.
You know, having said that, looking at Luis Gustavo and Paulinho, they really didn't stamp their authority on their first match.
Luis Gustavo plays pretty much a holding role because Marcelo and Dani Alves go forward. They attack at all times pretty much. Luis Gustavo plays the role of like a third defender. So David Luiz and Thiago Silva hold the back, but Luis Gustavo sits just in front of him just to shore up the back to allow Dani Alves and Marcelo to get forward as much as possible. So I think he'll keep that because he does a good job in doing that.
All right, okay. Well, let's have a look-see at Mexico's formation, and then we'll start putting them all together again, see how it all pans out. Mexico doing a 5-3-2, and I see that Peralta and Dos Santos are basically the spearhead of the attack again.
Yeah, Peralta and Dos Santos are the go-to guys. Peralta is in great scoring form for Mexico. I think he scored like 9 goals in their last 10 games or something to that effect. Dos Santos had a really good game in the first match. He was very unlucky. He scored 2 goals, which were disallowed. But the key thing for them, yeah, as you can see, I think they're going to go probably with a 5-man defense. They're going to go 5-3-2 because Mexico don't need to go out and win this game. I think the way they'll approach this game is that they're going to want to catch, play defensive and hold on to the 1 point that they come into the game with. And if anything, get 3 points. If they can catch Brazil on the counter, I think they'll want to do that. But they don't need to go out and win this game. And so I think they'll be happy to sit back and let Brazil attack them, absorb the pressure and try to hit them on the counter. Because 1 point for Mexico in this game will be good enough for them.
All right, I mean, talking about counters, let's look at Brazil's attack first, the one that Mexico will be looking to counter at some point. There's a graphic that we've got prepared in terms of how we think Brazil's attack formation would work out. And I see there's actually a bit of a small change from the last time we spoke about Brazil, where you've got Neymar playing a slightly more central role.
In the first game, Neymar played right behind Fred, and I think they want to give him the freedom in the middle to take players on and to use the skill that he has. I think he is maybe a bit limited out wide, and I think Scolari wants him to utilize him to the best of his ability. He's looked really good coming from the middle, and we know he can get amongst the goals. Like we saw him score from, taking a shot on his left foot, and that was because he came through the middle. The definite, as you can see, Dani Alves and Marcelo, the wings, that's where they're going to operate. And Oscar and Hulk, or whoever plays there, will definitely tuck in to allow the wing backs to get around. And then they'll just want to keep the shape with David Luiz, Thiago Silva, and Luis Gustavo in the middle. But this is a really attacking formation. We'll see definitely the right and left backs going forward a lot. But they'll definitely look to Oscar, Hulk, Neymar and Fred to get into the box and get amongst the goals.
All right, and then how would Mexico be defending against this? What will they be looking to do? Let's have a look at the Mexico defense formation.
They definitely, I think, as you can see, they'll probably crowd the middle because that's where Brazil are dangerous, because the likes of Oscar are going to float into the middle. The Hulk is going to float into the middle. Neymar is going to come through the middle. So they'll want to crowd out the middle. And if they'll probably want to let the ball go wide instead of it coming through the middle. That's why they'll crowd the middle and then allow the likes of Dos Santos and Peralta, when they win it, so they can break out as well, and then they can catch Brazil on the quick counter. But I can definitely see them tucking in and allowing Brazil to rather go wide than for them to come through the middle.
All right, cool. And then let's see what happens when they eventually do get the ball and they're countering. What would Mexico be doing? The likes of Moreno, Marquez, how do they get the ball to their strikers? So I think when we get the Mexico attack graphic on up, we'll be able to see exactly what happens there.
You see, you got the likes of Guardado and Herrera. Herrera had a really good game in the first day. He showed he was really good on the ball, really confident on the ball. And he's the one, even with the goal came from him. He broke through from the right-hand side, and he played the pass through to Dos Santos, where Dos Santos took the shot and the keeper saved, and Peralta came to follow up. So they have attacking players who can trouble Brazil, but I think they'll play a lot on the counter-attack. So even when they're going forward, they'll definitely try to keep their shape in defense and make sure that they're not caught on the counter, because the worst thing, they don't want to concede in this game. If they can come away with a goalless result and maybe get a goal, they're happy. But priority number one for Mexico, I would say, is to do not concede. But they do have guys in attack to trouble Brazil as well.
Mark, I can tell you this, by the looks of this particular World Cup, nobody's looking for goalless results, but maybe that was the nature of the first couple of matches for each team, that they're all looking for wins, because it's been very different, hasn't it?
I think it's going to obviously show up. I think going into the last two games of the group stages, teams are going to play differently. Obviously, when you go out on your first game, the first game is so important to get that win. Once you've got that one win under your belt, now you can look to shore things up, because in reality, you only need 5 points to advance. 5 points generally is good enough. So a win and 2 draws. So you might see a lot of different types of formations now, because teams might be playing for draws instead of wins. But the first games, that's why they were so enterprising, so many goals, because teams went all out for the win.
Mark,
and I think things will change.
Mark, I'm putting my money on Brazil actually going all out in attack, and we'll see how that goes. That would obviously mean, like, if Mexico are attacking, the Brazil defense would need for David Luiz and Thiago Silva to be on their toes.
On defense, obviously, you got your back four will get back. And then the key guys in defense, Paulinho and Luis Gustavo and Paulinho, 17 and 8. They're key because they're going to play just in front of the defense. The rest of the guys, the likes of Hulk, Neymar, Fred, Oscar, I don't think too much is required from them in terms of defense, because once they win it, obviously those are the guys they'll be looking to hit as soon as possible so they can cause trouble going forward. So I think with Brazil, they'll probably just defend with your back four and the two guys in the middle. But mostly the other guys will have freedom to go forward.
No, that sounds all very interesting. In fact, Mark, I think I do believe that our weather guys helped us out and prepared a little graphic for us with a stadium shot that shows the prevailing conditions when the match kicks off. It's going to be raining. They've assured us it's going to be raining at 4 o'clock when the match kicks off in local time. So, yeah.
I think in Group A, the rain has actually been a factor. At the Mexico and Cameroon game, I think Cameroon, the rain hindered them a bit, because I think African teams playing in those conditions it's not the best conditions for them. And Mexico actually, I think, benefited from that. So who knows, the rain might be a factor in this game as well.
All right, cool. Now, before we wrap up this interview, let's have a look at the other games. We know that the Belgium-Algeria match, that should be quite a cracker, because Belgium is known as the dark horse even before the World Cup started, with the likes of Lukaku in sublime form. And Algeria have been doing extremely well.
Both teams come into the World Cup off the back of really good results in their build-up, in their warm-up matches. So I think it's going to be a cracker of a game. Belgium obviously come in as one of the dark horses to win the competition. So Algeria have a tough game on their hands. I think for Algeria, going into this game, I do believe that Algeria will be happy with a draw. I think for them it's a draw or a win. They do not want to lose this game. But I don't think it's one of the games that they'll go all out for a win. Well,
it's going to be very hot there. Algeria are going to like that. They're kicking off at 1 o'clock local time. That's going to be our 7 p.m., I believe it is. 26 degrees, dew point low, wind non-existent. This is what it's going to look like.
I think, yeah, well, if the weather if it's really hot, it will probably play into Algeria's favor. So let's hope it is scorching out there.
All right, and the very last one was going to be that match between South Korea and Russia. And as you can see, these are conditions that you can expect to see at that time. 27 degrees. It's going to be a clear night, and it should be very fast football as well for that one.
Definitely. I mean, the Koreans are a hard-running team, so if it's cool, they'll enjoy that, and they'll run all night. So that'll make it difficult for Russia. You know, Russia, They're used to, they have extremely cold conditions. So if it is warm, if it is humid, they might struggle a bit.
27 degrees.
So, yeah, I think that plays into Korea's favor. But, I mean, the Russians are a good team. They play good football. I think this is also going to be a cracker of a game.
I'm looking forward to it. And as you can see, for all our viewers, that graphic says 6 p.m. That's 6 p.m. local time. Our time is going to be 10 p.m.
No, I think it's actually midnight. The game kicks off at midnight.
Midnight, yes, that's true. My math didn't work there. Hey, that's why you're here. Thank you. That was Mark Haskins giving us what we can expect to see later on tonight. In fact, what I would suggest to everybody, make sure that you tune in, catch all these matches. We'll be talking about them tomorrow, doing a post-mortem on them, as well as what's coming up tomorrow night.